Okay, 2.1 is inverse trig. So it's similar to what we've been doing, but now we're solving for angles instead of sides. So sine of some angles A, inverse sine of the side relation is the angle. Let's just do an example so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's start with angle X. And we're going to find that using the two sides. So now when you don't have the angle, you're going to have two sides to work with. So we don't know the hypotenuse, but we do know the opposite and adjacent. So when you're trying to figure out which one to use, sine, cosine, or tangent, you still have to do what we've been doing. We're using what we have. So we're using the adjacent and the opposite, and that is tangent. So we're still starting like we've been doing. Tangent of some angle is opposite over adjacent. And we're still plugging in everything we know, just like we've done before. So tangent, but now our angle's x. Opposite is 23, and adjacent is 31. All right, everything has an opposite, right? So the opposite of tangent is tangent inverse, and it's the tangent with a little -1. So the -1 does not mean to the power of -1. It means inverse. So that's a different notation we have to get used to. That doesn't mean exponent or power, it means inverse. So if we want to get x by itself, we have to do the opposite of tangent, which is tangent inverse. So what happens is we do, just like we add or subtract equations, we're going to take tangent inverse of the left side of the equation, and we're going to take tangent inverse of the right side of the equation, because what we do on one side, we do to the other, right? We keep it balanced. And what happens is these are opposites, which means they go to 1. They go away. Now it's just x by itself. And then this part goes in the calculator. And then I left this on here, remember, to make sure you're in degrees. So over here, my calculator, under functions, so I'm going to open up my keyboard, go to functions. Underneath all the trig functions is, guess what? It's the inverse trig functions. So I'm going to take inverse tangent of 23 over 31. And let's round this to 36.57. So 36.57 degrees, that's this angle. All right, so look, we used our trig functions, and now we can solve for angles. So to get the second angle, we remember that a triangle adds to 180 degrees, all the angles. But when you take out the 90-degree angle in a right triangle, you're left with just 90. So the two angles in a right triangle add to 90 because you take out the 90 that's already there. So if I want to find y, I can still do 180 minus 90 minus 36.57. That's fine. But you don't need the 180. You can just do 90 minus 36.57, and you're going to get the same answer. And that's angle y. So y equals 53.43 degrees. So in this section, we're going to use inverse trig functions to find angles.